oil and gas operators doing pretty extensive outreach to neighbors in the area where they've had these processes, both where there are HOAs and where there are not. So they have actual teams of staff that are doing that advanced work, and they do coordinate with us. So.
Yeah, I'm just asking my question because, as always, I'm concerned about the safety of our citizens here in Evans. So as long as we're looking out for the safety of the future residents there and the current residents that are around there, sounds like it's a good plan. Thank you.
Okay.
Other questions or comments?
None.
I don't have any.
Hearing no other comments or questions, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve the Hunters Reserve First Filing Replat B Development Agreement and authorize the mayor to sign the development agreement.
I second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the Hunter Reserve First Filing Replat B Development Agreement and authorize the mayor to sign the development agreement. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item, item B, consideration of award of bid 2019 asphalt treatment project.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the final component of our pavement management program for this year. This is the chip seal resurfacing component. And for a brief summary, I will turn it over to Randy Reedy and Mark Oberschmidt, who will summarize.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As Jim said, this is the final phase of this year's 2019 pavement asphalt surface treatment. We're in the process of finishing patching. So some of these streets that you see on here are in the process of being patched so that we take care of the subsurface, the bad areas, the small areas that we can do with a patch. And then we come in with this surface treatment, the chip sealing. The chip sealing material, a lot of it's already been delivered to the yard, so we're ready to go. The contracts are ready to work. As you can see from the exhibit, we're working basically from east to west. We're going to do 37th Street, 42nd Street, and 11th Avenue, and then moving west over to Harbor Lane, and then continuing west to Siena and Palermo. This is, like I said, it's a surface treatment that's meant to maintain the street in good condition and keep the water out from underneath the roadway to try to extend the life of the road. And back to that earlier question about putting in the sewer later, we can look at options on that to try to minimize the disturbance of the chip seal if we decide to move forward with that sewer project in 2021, depending on how bad it is, or we can wait and let the chip seal set for a few years and come in later. We can look at that to try to make the most cost-effective use of the chip sealing. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Questions or comments?
I would have to agree with Councilmember Neal that if we're going to be tearing up a street, that we probably could use it to do a different street instead, so that we're not tearing up a new chip seal. I also I'm actually very excited about what you have as priority number one. That portion is the portion where the street was torn up for the new sewer treatment plant, the new pump, what do I want to say, pipe, pump it back there, yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm really happy to see that there's a few places that are going to be taken care of and looking really nice and new. Thank you.
Thank you. We can look at what the next street on the list is as far as the chip sealing, and maybe leave out that section between the ditch and 32nd Street and come back later and do it after the sewer has been repaired? Or do it concurrently with the sewer repair?
Or, yeah.
Or did not.
It'd be good to see if it's done after the sewer repair.
I agree.
Yeah. And sometimes, we don't know when this comes up that is going to happen. So in this case, we do, and it would be a really prudent thing for us to do. So thank you very much for being flexible with that.
Other questions or comments?
I disagree with that. That if we can do part of 11th Avenue and then do the without it affecting the sewer line replacement, then that'd be great too.
Other questions or comments? Now I'd entertain a motion.
I move. I move to award the 2019 asphalt surface treatment contract to Vance Brothers, Inc., and to authorize the mayor's signature on an agreement in the amount not to exceed $220,000.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to award the 2019 asphalt surface treatment contract to Vance Brothers, Inc., and to authorize the mayor's signature on an agreement in the amount not to exceed $220,000. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item, item C, consideration of award of bid 2019 wastewater treatment plant lagoon dewatering. We'll hear from staff.
Thank you, Mayor. When the new plant was designed and constructed, we did the long-term master plan for it. We knew that we would have to periodically dewater the lagoons that you would see out behind the plant, essentially pulling the sludge, which is the product of the process, off, and so that there's still capacity for more of that product. We found after the first year of operation that we need to conduct that process sooner. We thought we might get to 2020 before needing to do this process, but we're finding that we need to do it now just to keep the operations of the plant optimal. So tonight we have our new civil engineer, Todd Hepworth, with us, so you can meet him, and also our long time with the city, but new wastewater superintendent, Robbie Porsche, with us to give just an overview of the work and the bid award and recommendation tonight. Gentlemen.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. Todd Hepworth. So we have in front of us, we're looking at our wastewater treatment plant operates on what's called an activated sludge process. So we take a balance of good bacteria and the chemistry of the influent waste to circulate through and digest that material. And sludge is a interesting process in that it is, solids is typically 3 to 5%. So when you think of sludge, you might think of mud, but actually the ponds can be a high content of sludge more than we think about. So we're looking at a process of removing the material in there. We believe from sampling it that we're looking at approximately 250 tons of material, which for this process and the time frame, a little bit accelerated from what we anticipated when the plant was constructed, but within reason for what's out there and what we receive as waste characteristics. So moving forward, well, once we dewater the sludge, we'll be sampling the material on a daily basis or truck by truck basis and getting a daily composite of that so we know how much we're dealing with as we move forward to budget year by year. At this point in time, we're recommending a process of blending and hauling out the material for land application by Veris, a local provider that has land and rights or permits in place to be able to land apply the sludge and haul off site, and then they will be taking those composite samples, drying them out, and getting a percentage of dry, or not percentage, but an actual value of dried material for the contract. So since we've sampled it and may have a hit or miss approach to sampling, we may be over or under on what we believe is a solid fraction in there, we're recommending a not to exceed contract. Anticipating that from what we've seen from our samples, about $203,000 in cost for this one, but given that it may be variance up or down, recommending a not to exceed $250,000 cost for the contract with Veris.
That concludes our
Any questions?
remarks.
Questions or comments?
And I'm assuming that the water is then recycled through the plant. It can't be discharged into the river. It's cleaned up enough to do that.
With the process Veris has chosen, when we bid this project, we bid several alternatives trying to get the lowest cost. Where Veris has available land just outside of Platteville, they're actually going to pull off the very top clean water and then do a mix and haul as a liquid. So there'll be very little water we'll have to run back through the facility. They'll haul that as a liquid and then deep inject it into their available fields.
Other comments or questions?
None.
Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to award the 2019 wastewater treatment plant lagoon dewatering project contract to Veris Environmental LLC and to authorize the mayor's signature on a contract in an amount not to exceed $250,000.
A second.
I have a motion and a second to award the 2019 wastewater treatment plant lagoon dewatering project contract to Veris Environmental LLC and to authorize the mayor's signature on a contract not to exceed $250,000. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next item, item D, resolution number 20-2019, a resolution authorizing the sale of city property according to the city asset disposal policy. I'll hear from staff.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a request to use the policy established by council several years ago for disposing of surplus property. In this case, it is a police patrol vehicle, and I will turn it over to Chief Rick Brandt for a summary.
Thank you, Jim. Good evening, Mayor, members of council, Chief Brandt. So before you tonight is a request and proposal to dispose of what amounts to our last charger of the fleet. As council's probably aware, that platform didn't hold up as well as we'd hoped. We had a lot of problems with the chargers. This is our last one. Although the car is relatively new, it's only 5.5 years old and has about 65,000 miles on it. I've attached to the council packet the repair record on this car, and you can see that it's had over $15,000, equivalent of $15,000 in repair. $5,000 that was from a crash, but $10,000 in mechanical repairs, which we sort of faced with all the cars. This particular vehicle also sustained some hail damage in the last storm. So in assessing the value of this car, I spoke with Cameron Turner, the city mechanic, and we agreed that probably the NADA fair market value for this car is about $7,700, $725. And we'd like to send it to auction and see what we can get for it and get the funds would be then proceeded to the city general fund. One bonus, I suppose, is that the city did receive a check in the amount of $9,329 for the hail damage to the car that we did not reinvest into the car. So it's actually sort of paid for itself, I guess, in those terms. So for your consideration tonight is a staff request to go ahead and decommission this vehicle under the guidelines of the asset disposal policy and send it to auction.
Thank you, Chief. Questions of Chief Brandt?
No, it's pretty straightforward.
After taking a look at this repair record, it seems like it's been in the shop more than it's been out on the road. And it's like, I've never seen a vehicle go through so many batteries as this one has in 5.5 years. And the maintenance cost is just horrendous. So I think the sooner the city can dispose of it, the better off we are.
Any other questions or comments?
Since he's talking about the repair record, I mean, replacing tires is pretty standard when they're on the street that much, so it did have some other issues too, but I mean, I would expect tires to be replaced on these vehicles quite a lot, and brake pads. That's all I want to say.
If there's nothing else, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve resolution number 20-2019.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve resolution number 20-2019. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Item 8, report, city manager.
Nothing further this evening, Mayor.
Yep, thank you. Next, city attorney stand-in. All right, thank you. No reports. Next item on the agenda is audience participation. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address city council on any item? Seeing none, meeting adjourned. We're going to go right into the ERA meeting.
Mr. Chair.
I am the chair, Brian Rudy. I'll call the meeting to order. May I have roll call, please?
Chair Rudy,
Here.
Vice Chair Clark,
Here.
Commissioner Johnson,
Present.
Commissioner Spear,
Here.
Commissioner Mortensen,
Here.
Commissioner Castle,
Here.
Commissioner Neal.
Present.
Thank you. Are there any changes to the agenda?
No changes to the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item 4, consent agenda. Item A, approval of the May 21st, 2019 Evans Redevelopment Agency meeting minutes.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item 5, new business. Item A, consideration of an agreement for exclusive rights to negotiate with Flexible Real Estate Company, LLC. We'll hear from staff, and good to see you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Board Chair. I'll just give a brief background. The agency, as you're all well aware, has been looking for a path forward on both of our redevelopment agency properties. This one we'll call, it's actually the one on the southeast corner of the intersection, Highway 85 and 31st Street. We call it Randy's Diner for short, or casually. And we've been doing some work. There is, as you all know, also there is some environmental contamination that's been ongoing. That has been one of the planning factors for us, and we also have an interest in realigning State Street, which is kind of the service road there at that intersection, so that it can be a safer single interchange with the highway there. So we had a discussion. The board had a discussion on April, I believe, at one of your April meeting several months ago, and directed staff to kind of follow the typical and proper process by law for urban renewal property, which is to issue a request for qualifications or proposal to seek a development partner. And we're very pleased tonight to have the results of that first step. I will turn it over at this point to our Economic Development Manager, Allison Moding, who can talk a little bit more about the process that we used and introduce our guests and hopefully our potential partners for developing that site. Allison.
Thank you, Jim. As Jim mentioned, one of my first priorities moving into this position with the city and with the redevelopment agency was to move us forward in the process of finding a development partner. And so in early July, we issued the RFQ seeking a partner for this particular development on this property. We did work with our retail consultant, Katie Press, to sort of nail down the specifics of what we thought the qualifications for a good partner would be. We received 2 RFQ responses in early August, and we interviewed both firms. We did then take our recommendation to our retail strike team of the mayor and actually I guess I should say the chairman and the vice chairman of the ERA board. And tonight I have with me Rich Hobbs and Alex Sparrows with Flexible Real Estate Company, LLC. We felt like their proposal was an ideal fit because it gave us the flexibility to explore together possible uses for the property and really dig deep into what market conditions and what opportunities we might have to really find something special for this particular corner, since it is our first ERA project, and I really want to make, I think, a splash and a good impression with this particular project. So we were impressed with their qualifications and their experience both together and also individually in their development careers. And so I will just real quickly say that the agreement in front of you basically gives us a 120-day period to work together as we again, look closely at what opportunities we might have. And then at the end of the 120 days, we'll see where we're at and hopefully have a development agreement that we can bring before you, provided that you do agree that we should move in this direction. So I'll just ask Rich and Alex to do a brief introduction, maybe tell you a little bit about some of the projects that they've worked on in the past, and then
Sure.
open it up for questions.
Sure. I'm Rich Hobbs with Flexible Real Estate Group, and I've been in the real estate business in one form or fashion for about 30 years. I've done projects of all kinds, from multifamily projects to industrial projects and retail projects. The last 20 years of my career has been more focused on retail real estate. I not only have I've run a development company in the Chicago area before moving to Colorado 20 years ago. But in addition to that, I've represented tenants, I've represented landlords, done a lot of different things. Actually, that's how I met Alex. We met doing real estate deals, and then we became partners in real estate deals. And I'll let him talk a little bit about his experience as well. But we've been doing this a long time. I've been involved in 1,000 square foot deals. I've been involved in 200,000 square foot deals. I represented Walmart for a number of years and acted somewhat as their real estate department in Colorado, Kansas, and Wyoming. Learned a lot during that process. And in that process, whether you like Walmart or not, is a different discussion. But what we did a lot was work with cities, not only on a tax incentive basis, but just to work to make sure we were good partners with the community. And that's kind of the approach we took when we responded to the RFQ was how do we best work with the city? Not how does it work best for us as developers or investors, but what's the best thing for this property, for the city long term? And I think that was the basis of our initial discussion. And that's how we want to look at it. We want to partner with the city and find what that best solution is. And then when we have that kind of figured out after that 120 days, now let's figure out how to go execute that. Let's not just rush into something or sign an agreement that gives us full control of that property, like happens in a lot of cities, and then the cities lose control. Our approach was, let's just work together and find out what's best for that property, and then work to execute. So my most recent project working with the city was the town of Superior. And so there was a 2-acre parcel across the street from the town offices that they wanted to redevelop. And so we collaborated with the city. They wanted a nice strip retail development. They could have put fast food there or a restaurant there, but they wanted something a little different. So we did a 7,500 square foot strip retail building in Superior, and we had Starbucks on the end. We had T-Mobile on another end. We had Firehouse Subs, sorry, thank you. And then Bishop's Hair Salon. And it really was
there.
What's that?
The third one over on the
Oh,
top.
it is the third one
hard to
over on the
see.
top. And that's a rendering. It's actually built and operating and doing really, really well right now. But I think the town of Superior was really happy with what we did. And that property had some challenges. We had to work with some cross easements with an adjacent property and cross parking with an adjacent property, which kind of tied up the fee simple ownership, but we figured out how to work around that with the city. And like I said, it turned into a great project. They're really happy with what we did there. So, my specialty is in kind of smaller projects. Alex's specialty, when he tells you, it'll be in larger projects. But combined, we really try and think this stuff through for the long haul, not just what's good for today. As an investor or a developer, it'd be easy for us to just kind of come in and say, hey, this is what we want to build because we can get the best exit when we're done with it. But again, our approach on this project is different, and our approach on Superior was different. We could have done some different things there, but that's not what was in the best interest of that property or for the city. So I go on and on about my experience since I've done this for so long, and You know, I also own a part of a retail real estate brokerage company, a property management company, and that really also gives me a good basis to understand what's going on in the market, who's active in the market, what they're doing, all those kinds of things. I think that's where I'll kind of end, and I don't know if you have questions for me or if you want Alex to jump in a little bit.
My name's Alex Spiros, and as I've been partners and worked with Rich for over 20 years now. I started in the real estate development business back in 1975, and I worked for a small family-run Greek development company for 3 years, and then I went to work for one of the 3 largest shopping center developers here in Colorado at that time. In 1978, it was Antonoff and Company. I was there 18 years. I became Gary Antonoff's partner there over that time period. We specialized in grocery-anchored neighborhood centers, strip centers at that time, shopettes we used to call them. And then we did big power centers, big box centers. We were involved with, when I was there, we did over about 3 million square feet of shopping center development. In the city and county of Denver, we did the first big box shopping center in the city and county of Denver at Broadway and Alameda. We partnered with the city and county of Denver and Dura, which is Denver Urban Renewal Authority. It was their first project out of the box for them. It was $20 million, their share of it. It was basically a 27-acre infill property. We put Pace Membership Warehouse, which then turned into Sam's Club. There was a Kmart there, and then also a Albertsons. I've been involved. I'm a Denver native. My grandfather came over here from Greece. He was a coal miner up in Dacona. My mom graduated from Brighton High School, and I ended up doing the shopping center development for about 15 years, and then we evolved into doing master plan communities. And we started doing master plan communities up in the northern region, specialized in Brighton. I was in charge of acquiring 7 farms, 2,600 acres, called Third Creek, getting annexed and entitled into the town of Brighton. It was called Third Creek Meadows. Now it's called Prairie Center. And through that, I got into this master plan communities. And in all of those, we did massive metro districts, water districts. We were a water provider. I then, after that, I had a period of time that I retired, went to the mountains, built a house off the grid, found out that I was not the mountain man I thought I was. Well, it's a lonely life up there. But I built a house off the grid up in Marble, Colorado. I don't know if any of you have ever been to Marble, but then I came back and I ended up partnering up with 3 other partners, and we formed a company. It was called Bromley Companies. We did Bromley Park. It was master plan community. It was a 2,900 acre master plan community in Brighton. And it's where the Adams County courthouse is now, the Platte Valley Medical Center. That was all land of ours. The Lowe's over there, the King Soopers project, there's a 1.5 million square feet of industrial that we did over there, and about 10,000 houses. So I've always been fascinated with, number one, retail. I love retail. I love retail shopping center business, but I love this northern part. I actually own 4 car washes with my brother. 2 of them are in Denver, one's in Frederick, the other one's in Fort Lupton. This northern part, I've been in Brighton and doing projects there for 35 years. And so, as I always tell everybody, I had this get-rich-quick scheme. Well, I failed in both parts of that. I got healthy financially, but it took me a long time. But, I really have an affinity for the northern part of Colorado and along this Front Range, because this is my home. And this is where, my family roots are in. And so, when this opportunity came up here, I was real excited, and I will tell you, I really like this area. Having the chance to be partners with Evans is very exciting for us, because doing master plan communities and doing these partnerships with City and County of Denver and Aurora and even Brighton and everything, it can be contentious. And it can be, it doesn't feel like a partnership. It feels like I'm going, rather than a marriage, I'm going through a divorce all the time. and up here and seeing the opportunity, meeting Brian and Mark and Jim and Allison, it is a breath of fresh air. And, Rich, brought this opportunity, and we came up here and we spent a lot of time up here, and we're excited about it. And this is how we want to spend our time, because we would like to, we like to get our fingerprints on something, create something, make something better, but have partners, not having something contentious and everybody's interest in the same way. So this was a joy to come up here. I used to have a deal with my partners at Bromley Park. I said, there's two things I won't do. I won't sign personally on loans for our shopping centers, and I won't go to public hearings anymore. and I tell you, it was a joy coming up here tonight, and every time I come here, I enjoy it. So.
Well said.
So just to finish and kind of set where we are tonight, thank you guys. And we feel that these gentlemen are very, very qualified for our project. We're hoping that they can be a partner with us for this one and potentially the future. So, but what we're looking for tonight is council's approval of this agreement that would designate them as the master developer for this property for 120 days. One of the things we liked a lot was how they talked about this partnership and how they really wanted to take some time and really go out and figure out what can work here. They have the connections. We believe that what they tell us will work here is what will work here, but they just need some time for that. So with your agreement tonight, they would have full license to go out and start having those conversations. There's no commitment of cost for the city. There's no commitment of cost for the development team. And we would come back to you after that 120 days and hopefully have a development agreement ready for your consideration, and we could be on our way to a great project. So that concludes staff's remarks. And if you have any questions for the team, I know they'll be eager to answer.
Thanks, Jim. Yeah, I really enjoyed the time Mark and I got to meet with you guys. Their qualifications, they speak for themselves. You didn't hurt yourself by throwing Jimmy Jones up there. The thing that I really appreciate about you guys is you said, Evans wants something there and they need something there. Well, let's get the right something there. And if that's going to take a little bit of time or 120 days for us to look into it, that's what we'll do. You weren't the other guys that we've seen come in going, hey, I know what I can put there and I know what we're going to get there right now. Well, nothing's there. So I really appreciate the approach you guys came in with when Vice Chair and myself and staff met with you. I thought it was fantastic. I think you guys are the right people for this, and I am very, very much in favor of giving them the rights.
I would have to agree with that as well. When we spoke that day, I like the fact that you want to come in as a partner. And you're not going to say, hey, you're going to look at it and say, this is what the market dictates. And this is what we think will do best here. And you're not going in there with an agenda of, this is what we're going to put here, and that's just how it's going to be, like others said as well. And I also like the fact that when we spoke as well, you were saying there could be some other potential opportunities for you to maybe partner with the city in the future after, how this goes. And maybe take a look at other areas. So that was one of the big driving forces to me that really sold me with that as well.
And that is important. The thing is that vicinity, so that area, you're gonna have this project, this area. So in essence, it's gonna be a big landmark, or in a sense, the first big project that will be created, and it will start the envisioning project of, the 85 corridor. And it is important for, the city to have something there that would definitely help the city grow and also entice people to come in and want to be a part of it. So it's like that project that if we get it right, it'll be like a catalyst to more projects coming in. So I like the fact that they mentioned that you don't want to partner with us, and that you're not going to just have something in there for the sake of having something in there, because that's not what we want. We want the right thing that's in there that will help our city move forward.
So I'm not a retail developer. I just kind of want to be clear on what the process is. You're talking about 120 days, and in that 120 days, you are going to be searching for the appropriate businesses that might be going in there?
Yeah, so
And then who's going to develop it? I mean, I would like to know what this step is. And then is the city still going to own the development? Are you guys purchasing? I mean, I know I'm putting the cart before the horse here, or, I just would like to know a little bit more, because again, like what Mayor Rudy said, we've had a lot of stupid fly. We've had, we've had a lot of talk about that area, and we've heard a lot of talk. So I guess I'm wondering, how soon is Chick-fil-A coming?
no pressure.
No,
It's usually Panera bread that I get.
Okay, that's great. Panera's fine.
So, the first 120 days is really for us to go out and talk to the market and see who's interested in doing something here, and then reporting back and saying, okay, we have, in a perfect world, we'd put a hotel there, or maybe a medical office building or something like that. I don't know that that's what we can make happen. I don't know that that's what the market is going to dictate. So that's why we want to spend 120 days to go find out. We might be pleasantly surprised. We might not be so pleasantly surprised. The only interest we might get is gas station interest, and then we'll come back and we'll report that. But we'll be able to demonstrate who we've talked to and what that response has been. And from there, then we work on the second step, which is, all right, what do we do with this? Maybe if we haven't gotten the interest that you all would like, then we say, okay, let's pause, or let's continue that process until we find somebody else. So that's why we proposed the way we did, so nobody's really getting locked into anything until everybody's comfortable. When everybody's comfortable, that's when we want to enter a purchase and sale agreement. In that purchase and sale agreement, we specifically didn't propose specifics in our RFQ, because we wanted to leave that open, and that could be a joint venture with the city, so that the city profits from this as well as us, not just an outright sale. It could be an outright sale, and I think that's some things that we have to talk about with the whole team and find out what's best for everybody. So there's environmental issues that we have to get figured out, and we wouldn't want to own something until those were figured out. There's a chain of title thing that happens that creates liability for us, that we wouldn't want to have that happen. So there's a few steps in this process before we have something solid. But I think it benefits the city.
So I guess I'm getting is that you guys are interested in developing it yourselves if there is enough interest in it being obviously profitable venture for you guys.
Yes.
I mean, we're all in for profits. I mean, so.
We like to think we're a for-profit enterprise.
Yes,
I've
yes.
done a lot of nonprofit deals. So, but so you understand, and this is one of the things I heard you say is that, we've heard a lot of talk, okay? and this is not to be pejorative against brokers, but real estate brokers, you gotta understand that they are trying to tie up listings. And they don't, real estate brokers do not do anything but try to find buyers and sellers, okay? They are not buyers and sellers, and they do not know what's available out there, who's the buyers, who's the sellers, who's the tenants. They have ideas, but it is a bunch of talk. And because they just want to put their sign out there and get it. What now, there is another level of broker, and which Rich is, which Rich and his company that he owns, and how I got to Rich was that I'm a developer, and I tie up a piece of ground, and the piece of ground is only, it may be a $5 million piece of ground, but that's only 20% of my project cost. The ground is the cheapest thing. And, and I've got to put these pieces together. I find now Rich, and because of his expertise, he works with tenants all the time. He's more has the pulse of the market, and he knows who's out there, who's expanding across all the markets, all the different demographics, all the different geographic locations, and then what's available out there. Identifying those people is one thing, but then the idea of getting access to them, and people will talk to me. I have a relationship with all these tenants. He has a relationship with these tenants and these users, but and not to be derogatory, but it was when I started doing it in Brighton, when they didn't want to talk to me about Brighton. Or when I did my our deals in Loch Buoy, the word Loch Buoy would come out of my mouth, and if Rich or a broker were to go to a tenant and say, I got a deal in Loch Buoy, would you want to take a look at it? They'd hang up on it. One of the things that we have the ability to do because of our experience and our relationships that we've done these deals with this group of tenants and active in the marketplace, is that they'll give us the courtesy to let us pitch it, okay? And it is an education process. The idea that, I'm a Colorado native. I've done all my development in this northern part of Colorado. I'm hard pressed to tell you where Greeley starts and ends and where Evans is. And when you tell people Evans, I'm sure it's an identity issue. And it's preconceived, and it's something that they heard of something 10 years ago. And so when I sit down, and not to make myself out to be something that, that somehow when I speak, everybody thinks I'm the oracle. They know that I am for profit, and I would not be spending my time, and these users will at least hear why are you, Alex and Rich, spending time in Evans? What is it you see there? And we see it's an imperfect market we're dealing with, and getting these users to understand what the opportunity and understand Evans. That's what we do, and a broker that is just, and I tell this to Rich, and everybody cringes when I say it. There's a broker's credo. I tell Rich, and he does not follow it, but the broker's credo is, how do I make the most amount of money in the quickest amount of time with the least amount of work? That's their credo. And that doesn't work for me as a developer, and that's why I have a broker and then turned out to have a partner in Rich, because I would be doing these things and he would be putting the time, educating the people, bring me the people, getting them at least to the tables that we can talk to them and show them the opportunity and sort of, educate them. And so that's why, yeah, you've heard a lot of talk, and you'll hear a lot of talk from me. I talk a lot. Okay? But that's what we see here. That's why we think, this idea, if I thought I was gonna make quick money here in Evans, Colorado on this deal, I wouldn't be here. Honestly, this is gonna be, this is trench warfare. And because there's obstacles to overcome on perceptions but I've seen this, I've gone through this, and I've actually gone through this, and when I have the municipality or the town or the city or the county be cross-purpose to me, fighting me, where that's why I'm doing this, is that I think there's an opportunity, there's a perception issue, there's an education issue. We can get in front of the people, and I think that we have partners with you that are going to be patient and want to see results rather than just talk. And we may come back and we may be sitting here 120 days and say, we just got a lot of doors slammed in our face and nobody sees it. Okay? That's but we're willing to put, and the most precious thing to me, I'm going to be 67 years old. It's my time. My window of opportunity to do these kind of deals is coming to the end, and it's not because of lack of capital, it's a lack of time. And so that's why, it sounds like we want to be flexible. We want to be flexible and be in partnership and see you can't force the market. And that's why it sounds loosey-goosey, but there's a reason for it.
I think that that we've tried other things in the past, so this is probably a good thing to try. And anybody who's on Highway 85 between 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock knows that it's backed up. It's backed up clear down past the river, and it's backed up over there with people that are hungry. So these people they need to eat, they need to do business, they need to do whatever everybody else has to do and travel to the other side of town. So we would really love to see you guys do something, but I think that a partnership like this would be very good.
I agree.
Yeah, it's refreshing.
It's great because we need someone that will assist us pitch, which you're doing, but also knowing that there's some kind of stigma, but also like having that synergy, because again, people get excited when you're excited, so if the way if you're pitching it and you're like making people think of it and like being there, yes, this is like the new thing, this is a place that no one has ever been, and you know what, having that that property there will get you this. But in addition to all that, also having something there that's great, but also that keeping in mind longevity, because let's not get something that it's a new thing that, okay, they may be there for a year and that's it, they're done. Thinking of businesses that are established and that we can think of in the long term. They'll continue to be there as well. That is important.
Well, I think thinking in the long term, I think most of us here would like to be out of the real estate business.
Yes.
So, if there's some kind of a promise of that happening down the road, that would be fabulous. And then again, you guys might go out there and, like you said, get the doors slammed in your face and we still have the property. So I think this is a very exciting 120 days that we might be having. And the other thing I want to say is I think it makes some of us that were on this council during the change of our city manager and our economic developer, it really, I think, makes us proud that our city staff and our mayor and the rest of the city is very well represented to outside people. So I think we've worked hard to change the interpersonal relationship that we have with potential developers and business people here. So it's very exciting to see that you guys are happy to be here and give this a try.
Great.
Go ahead, Fred.
Well, gentlemen, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and give you two compliments. I've been in purchasing for over 40 years, and particularly in state purchasing with CDOT, and I've listened to a lot of presentations over the years, and I really enjoyed this presentation. I think you guys are gonna work hard for us if the rest of the council agrees, and for yourselves. The other thing that I wish would have happened is you'd have been around 20 years ago and owned a property that is called Tuscany and taken care of that, and I think the city would be in a much better position if you guys would have been in charge of that development.
Well, Mr. Neal, I'm on my third marriage. And as I tell everybody, and I'm in a great marriage now, and I'm going to the grave with this one. And as I tell everybody, I had to go through all those bad relationships to get to this one. And so when you say that, you wish you were, hey, 3 years ago or 5 years ago, I was in other deals and you were in another deal, and maybe they were bad deals, and maybe, we're here now. And, and we got here now. And it was sort of meant to be. And to your point, when I went to Brighton had this image, Brighton was a town of I think it was 9,000 people at that time. And the front door was on 85. And we flipped the whole thing, and we made the front door on 76. And we changed the whole idea how people thought about Brighton, and how you entered into Brighton and where Brighton was. And now when you ask somebody where Brighton is, it's Bromley Park, and it's the Justice Center, it's the hospital, it's and that was the back door, and that was and the same thing with Loch Buoy. Loch Buoy was it was called Space City. It was 300 mobile home. It was a mobile home park. That's what Loch Buoy was, and now it's a thriving community, and you see it on the weather channel now. That's right. You got to be kidding me.
They're on the map.
So it is. Yeah, I think the opportunities here. We're here. You guys are here, and hopefully, we think that in 120 days we'll see what the market tells us.
Yeah, and I think to add to what Alex said too, we see change coming to Evans for the better. And this is your corridor to make that happen. And you only get one chance really to do that. It's just like for us too, we only get one chance on a project to make sure it's the right project. And for us to exit out of that project, we want to do it right. And by putting something in that is short-term thinking, that doesn't help us exit. So I think that means we're working towards common goals. And, if there's other development parcels, which there are in Evans, it could create another opportunity for us too. So we're not just focused on this, we're focused on a bigger picture to see if we can create a longer term relationship that benefits everybody. And so that's just kind of how we're thinking about this whole project.
And to your point is, if only you had that 2 acres there, and that was the only thing, and that was, and that was, I wouldn't be sitting here. I don't think, this is like going on a date. We want to get married, but this is like going on a date. Hopefully, this date goes really well. And we really thought maybe we'll go steady after this.
Honeymoon, I mean, really.
There you go.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Other comments or questions?
I worked for Lowe's when you guys, or when they started building in Brighton, and I saw the change. I saw nothing, and then it built up pretty quick. So I know you do have the hunger of the people here for things like that development, and I know the staff are very open to it as well. So there is a hunger with the residents as well. They want, you know, they're willing to stay here and spend the money and get what they need here. So if they're ever worried about, or if they ever bring it up, I can tell you now, all of us want it. We all do. Even as a resident before I was on city council, that was one of the things we all discussed quite often. So go forth, get them.
Any other comments? None, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve an agreement for exclusive right to negotiate with Flexible Real Estate Company LLC. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those nay. Passes. Thank you, guys. Good luck.
Thank you. Nice meeting
It was a
you.
pleasure.
All right.
One more agenda item, if you want to stick around. Gotta do a budget item, and then you guys can stick around, I'll follow up tomorrow.
Let's just follow up tomorrow. Okay, great, thank you.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Good to see you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, take
Nice
care.
meeting you.
Next item, item B, ERA 2020 budget.
Thank you, Board Chair, and this is just really following the same path as we are for the budget. Just want to have a brief work session with you about the 2020 ERA budget, and I believe we can summarize very briefly just the main components and projects that we have.
Very briefly.
Yeah.
Like 5 items.
Finance Director Jackie Trout has entrusted me to briefly present the budgets for 2020. You can see the budget resolution is attached to your agenda item. As in years before, we have a relatively limited scope looking forward, just due to the kind of volatile nature of our ERA planning. But we are, you'll probably notice on here, there's one item, the personnel costs as we look ahead to 2020 increased over the past year, and that's a maximum amount that we calculated just based on what we think could happen, maximum amount of staff time that would be potentially required as we ramp up operations with development, with demolition of buildings, with all the fun things that we're going to be doing next year. So
It's fair to say that Allison's spending a lot of time on these properties, so she's charged here.
So with that, I would just say this is really just for your feedback and questions at this point. Jackie is here to help answer any of the really hard questions, and I would open it up to your questions.
Thank you. Questions, comments?
Questions. It was well executed.
All right. Well, with that, I don't think there's any action
Nope,
required.
just want to have kind of a work session.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
With that, meeting adjourned.